All right, y'all. So we're about to get into the tea because it is hot. But before we do that, we got to talk about this group trip to Vietnam, March 14th through the 20th of 2026. I want you to be there. If you have seen our trips to Bali, to Thailand, to Zanzibar, and our upcoming one to Cape Town, you don't want to miss this one to Vietnam. People ask me, why did I choose Vietnam? I mean, look at it. We got good pricing in terms of the currency conversion, so the dollar takes you further. We got beautiful landscapes and we got great Vietnamese food and shopping. Plus, 3 cities, so we're gonna be running around this country looking all types of crazy and all types of lit. And we got a 2 day luxury cruise, y'all. A 2 day luxury cruise. So I need you to go ahead and make your reservation today. Go ahead and make your deposit today. You can put it on a payment plan. Click the link in the description. Now we can really get into this tea.
All right, y'all, we are back in the building. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a heads up. I am a little bit under the weather today and I'm traveling. So, y'all just bear with me. We still going to get through this thing. Potomac is back, y'all, coming off of BravoCon. And we, of course, get an episode where Monique is back in the picture. And I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I mean, as someone, well, I'll get into that. I'll get into that in just a bit. We'll talk about her return and my initial thoughts on it versus my thoughts now. And yeah, we'll dive into that. But before we get into that, also make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I know I'm not on camera today, but like this video if you can. I would really appreciate the support. I actually just support y'all being here in general, and I'm gonna put your comments on the screen. Okay. If you hear me sniffling or sneezing, just understand what we doing here, okay? I hate for my videos to be a hot mess, and lately I just feel like we've been hot mess express. But at the end of the day, sometimes that's what we love about the idea of doing something live is that you just never know what's gonna happen. Like doing live TV, I just remember just you just never knew. So we just gonna have to go with the flow and we're gonna roll with it and we're gonna make the best of it. I really appreciate y'all's well wishes in the comments as well. So let's get down into the nitty-gritty. Oh, of course, I would not be doing myself. I would be doing myself a disservice if I did not go ahead and let y'all know we still have 5 spots left for Vietnam. Y'all, I think, two expiring $200 off coupons. Just use Richie. The code is Richie 200 at checkout, and you can make your deposit that way and get the $200 off if you have been really wanting to go. Just a little bit of extra holiday incentive for y'all. Okay, so I'm gonna read you guys the episode description, and we're gonna get into the biz naive of it all. Um, this is season 10, episode 7. Guess who's back? Stacey unveils her new line of gummies, but the brand name gives the ladies cause for pause. Wendy gets candid about her father. Kiana and Greg discuss the state of their relationship. Angel and Tia connect with their families. Okay. I'm showing you this picture of Wendy from BravoCon because I kept looking at Wendy and I kept looking at her photos and I kept looking at something about Wendy was looking a little elevated to me. And maybe it's just me, and maybe I just be eyeballing because Wendy to me has this always has like a look where there's not a hair out of place. She is always sitting. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I know that she was working with Paris Chia from, y'all remember Paris was the stylist that was working with Kelly on Real Housewives of Atlanta, who is actually much more well known in the world of fashion than just working with Kelly. But for the sake of Housewives fans who have a short memory, because Paris has also worked with Marlo and others, um, then ended up working with Britt Eady and then Portia, and as most recent has been working with Dr. Wendy. So while Wendy has I think, been elevating and elevating every season. I think that the most recent elevation in terms of the style and aesthetic, um, we can also give some of that credit to Paris. Okay. With that being said, again, I'm looking at the elevation and I'm looking at they make a reference, or at least Angel does in this episode, about Wendy's face. She said something about Wendy's mouth looking like a butthole and her eyes looking like Forrest Whitaker. I don't really see that at all. I do see a little, like I said, I see enhancements, and I thought to myself, is the most recent enhancement teeth? Because I think the teeth got a little upgrade as well, and I think that they've caused her face to look a little bit different. But that could just be me again eyeballing and really trying to like dive into the nooks and crannies of why she's just looking so extra good. I mean, in spite of all of the charges, in spite of dealing with all of that, those things aside, I was just like, that smile looks extra, extra bright. That smile looks extra bright. Okay. Um, and so I think it's the teeth. I think it's the teeth. And granted, they look amazing. Y'all, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I personally would have a whole brand new set of chompers as well right now. Like, I mean, y'all, my teeth, if it were up to me, my teeth would be as white as snow. Okay. Actually, no, my teeth would blind you if it were up to me. My teeth would look like they are popping out of my face, slapping you upside the head, okay, with their whiteness. All right. That's how my teeth would look if I had my way. But because I grind my teeth at night, I just don't feel like wasting my money on that. Okay. Boom. Let me just let y'all know that. So when I see a pair of chompers that look good and that help shape the face, I notice. Okay. So don't take this as me calling out a visual aesthetic in a negative way. This is me just noticing, like, I see. I see the enhancement. I see it though. I see it. Okay, okay. Give me some chompers. I listen, I love a good set of chompers. Y'all know who has had some nice upgrades on the chompers? Nene. Nene's had some nice little upgrades on the chomp. Let me put the alleged badge up here because I don't know what's happening in these people's mouths for certain. I really don't. I'm just telling you what I think my opinion is on the evolution of each of these sets of chompers. That's all I'm telling y'all. And again, yes, I do grind my teeth at night. Okay. Um please don't make me. January, why? Why? Why not? Why are my teeth not supposed to be lighter than the whites of my eyes? Why? Okay. Tell me why. I told you, I want my teeth to be glowing. When the lights go out, I want you to see nothing but my teeth. I want my teeth to look like piano keys. Minus the black keys, okay? They should look like piano keys, baby. Oh God, listen. But the way I grind my teeth, them things I would look like a gremlin, okay? Oh Lord have mercy. Um, okay, so there's that. Who said I wanted natural? I don't want natural. No. Oh God, listen, I don't want natural. Uh, whew, okay. I don't know what I don't know why that is tickling me so bad. Okay. Shout out to Justice for all of those who grind their teeth at night. Listen, I wear a night guard and that thing still hurt. Anyway, okay. So much to talk about in this episode. Thank you guys. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah. So, um, let me stop reading your comments because I'm cracking up. All right, so let's talk about Wendy in this episode. Just since we're already on her. Wendy, we do see Wendy in renovation mode. And I think it was it's hard to watch. It's not really hard for me to watch it, but I just wonder if with Wendy's stance that these are simply allegations that she's going through right now. Um and with her positive stance on, or at least her outwardly positive stance about where she is with her current legal situation. As I watch this episode, what you do see is Wendy and Eddie in renovation mode, and the tally of the renovations is $100,000. When you juxtapose that with what we know about the charges and the alleged insurance fraud being up to what 400 and something $1,000, it's just kind of like you kind of wonder like, oh, did some of that money go into these renovations? But again, we have to also remember these are still alleged charges. So I mean, it's kind of difficult to be at this space with it. And I know a lot of people are basically like, they don't care. I mean, the general consensus that I'm seeing online from some people is really split. I'm seeing some people like, well, they hear that rich people do it all the time. Rich people of other colors, they do it all the time. That's what the some people say. Some people are like, oh, down with them, because it's what they did was wrong. I don't know where you guys lie with this, but I just did think it was very interesting when they showed us the tally of that number. Um, we also learned that she did not get a happy birthday from her biological dad, and that's something that's bothering her. So I think that we are going to see a little bit more about Wendy's relationship with her dad as we move forward. And those scenes where she's crying about he just doesn't love me or something like that. I think that that's what that's about. I think it's about her dad. The next thing that we see with Wendy, that I thought was absolutely hilarious was this scene right here with Stacey. I mean, when she says that Stacey has been like basically taking a peek into her wardrobe and is like literally copying her aesthetic. The great thing about this conversation with Dr. Wendy and with Stacey is that Wendy recognizes that Stacey is very unserious, right? I think that because Wendy realizes that Stacey is unserious, I mean, even as evidenced by Wendy full on looking into the camera when Stacey tells her, I have an affinity for Nigerians. And it's like, girl, okay. So first, you number one, she comes in literally dressed like Wendy, same visual aesthetic and all, which I think is probably a coincidence because I do know that this is also part of Stacey's aesthetic as well. What you're gonna also, I think, what you're always gonna see with Stacey is you're gonna either see a nice little wavy curl or you're gonna see this bone straight bust down the middle. They call it a bust down, right? Is that what they call it? A bust down, bust it down, whatever. Um, bust down with the part in the middle and a slinky dress, right? Stacey loves a slinky dress. And what I mean by a slinky dress, there's probably a name for this style dress that Stacey wears, and I just don't know what it is, but it gives very slink, Like it's like something that's like pretty kind of like tight around like the body, but it's gonna be kind of long and like kind of draped around her. And she's kind of like got that model thin look about her. And I just feel like that's Stacey's vibe. That's her aesthetic in general. And Wendy can manage to switch it up a bit. So, I mean, but here's the thing. Wendy has often had this issue with some of the women on the show, from whether or not Ashley is wearing something similar to her in her confessionals, to Karen and the 3 wick, the 7 wick, the 8 wick, the 9 wick, the 10 wick, the 13 wick, the 55 wick, the 89 wick, the 100,000 wick, and versus Wendy's Onya Essentials candle. Doing the candelabras and things like that. I mean, is she still doing the home essentials? I really don't know. I don't really hear her talk about that as much as I do hear her talk about the happy Eddie of it all. And speaking of happy go go, isn't Stacey? What's so funny about it is when I thought about Stacey's name, like the brand name being Shayo, I was like, oh, okay, that's a Nigerian name, right? Now, of course, Stacey says that she's that she's done a DNA test and she is still that B, but she's done a DNA test and apparently there's a percentage, we don't know how much, of her that is Nigerian. Well, good, don't you know? Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now, with that being said, what I didn't realize was I didn't take into account that Shayo literally means happy. Remember Gizelle says that when at the reunion, so when Stacey comes out with a line of happy Stacey, well, while listen, everything that Giselle said came true, to be quite honest with you. Whether or not when I was doing the mental calculations when Stacey was preparing for her brand launch and doing them photos, and the man said that it's been 96 days or so since they first conceptualized this product up until this point. I will listen, I don't know about can I bust specifically, but I do know that there are a ton of brands out there that you can literally put your label on it, uh, and get it done in about 30 days or less. Okay, so I do know that that's possible. So that 96-day mark is no big feat. I just don't know about it in the can I bust industry. But anyway, so I was doing the mental calculations and the mental gymnastics of trying to figure out how what that 90-day period of time was in relation to when they filmed that reunion, and apparently it had been 5 months. So at the end of the day, I mean, Giselle still was right. I mean, whether or not she decided about it afterwards, when she came up with when Giselle said "Happy Stacey," she came up with a brand that literally meant happy, which is very similar to Happy Eddie. Now, I ain't saying she no copycat, but I ain't saying she all that original with it either. Okay? So, and I ain't saying she lied at the reunion, but I ain't saying I 100% even believe her either. All I know is she is entertaining to watch. All right? And I think that Wendy also catches the vibe with Stacey. Like, girl, you are so unserious. What I enjoy about Wendy and Stacey's dynamic is that Wendy does not ever hesitate to call Stacey out on it, but she does it in a way that's very much different from Ashley. Wendy calls her out and then literally like completely moves on. Like she does not hold on to it. Wendy in this season, in this episode, gave me some interesting Portia vibes in a different way. Um to me, Portia, and I know that this is going to sound like a very weird comparison, but I just want you to follow me. Portia gives off funny confessionals and funny reactions to situations. I feel like unlike Wendy, Portia has a slightly she doesn't have the ability to move on from things as easily. So I think that Portia, when she's upset about something or when she's bothered by something, she can't really move from it and engage because of that Cancer energy. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I know what it is because I recognize it because I'm a Cancer. So when you see Portia and she's in Nashville and she's got the stank face and everybody's trying to figure out what's going on from last season, it's kind of like, oh God, like the whole episode is a drag. Wendy has a different approach, but their comedy in some instances just reminds me, in terms of their reactions, reminds me of a similar energy, but they're completely different people, completely react differently. But there's something there that just kind of makes me think about Portia in some way, shape, or form. Now, granted, again, Wendy is not twerking all over the place or nothing like that, but it's just I can't put my finger on it. And I know that I'm probably the only one that sees it. And I know that my explanation is probably raggedy, but here I am. Okay. Here I am. All right. Meanwhile, but this right here, this moment to me was hilarious as Wendy literally looks into the camera like, this, I know this. I know this B didn't just say that. So anyway, Stacey, in my opinion, when Jazzy asked her, I believe Gizelle 100% when she said this. I believe that when Jazzy initially asked Stacey, "Hey girl, can you be my bridemaid?" Stacey was probably like, "Ooh, girl." I mean, in her mind, allegedly, maybe I don't know. This is my belief. Was probably like, "Ooh, girl, as you want even to be a part of this cast, I got to film this show, and it's right in the middle of filming. And girl, I got a brand launch. I got to think about." Um, I believe it was that level of energy, but I think that when she found out that Ashley and Wendy were going, that she quickly found a way to park the Red Seas and then head on down to Dallas for a couple of hours. Oh, girl, yes, absolutely. Since the girls are going, I might as well go. I 100% believe that. I 100% believe that if pressed about it, you will never get that response from Stacey. I just think that I think that that's really what happened, and I think you just got to learn how to speak Stacey. And once you learn how to speak Stacey, you can sort of read through the lines and really figure out what exactly happened because she's going to talk her way out of. Listen, the woman can talk her way out of jail. Okay, that's what I think personally. So the girls do manage to get down to Jazzy's wedding, which I like. This is what I liked about this episode because it really did have a lot going on. When you really think about it, it had the return of Monique, which we're going to get to. It had the Wendy stuff, and it was just a lot. You had a trip to Dallas, smack dab in the middle of the episode, and then you had a group event with the whole pride situation, and you had literally everybody's personal story wrapped up into this one episode. I thought that this was a great episode in general. It was subtle, but it was good. Okay, so I'm gonna get some other things out of the way real quick. Um, Kiana meets with Greg at his new house. Can I ask y'all a question? This is a slight aesthetic question as well. I'm not gonna ask that because I don't. I am gonna ask it. Do a lot of do is there I feel like I know a little bit about visual, like, aesthetics in terms of, like, Botox and, like, fillers and stuff like that. I've tried Botox before. I felt like it made my eyebrows go up, and I looked like an evil henchman. Um, but and I've tried Botox in my cheeks because I thought that that would help me stop my teeth from grinding, but I think I need, like, a million cc's of whatever it is in order for that to stop because my jaw muscles are just like literally like the most powerful things on earth. Um, is there something that the women are putting into their cheeks now that is making the cheek pop in the way that, or do women just have natural like cheek like growth? I don't know. I don't know why I feel like I'm watching a bunch of cheeks on some of these like shows these days. And it's not just Potomac, but I just feel like I see a lot of cheekbone that I just never really thought I just never had seen so many cheekbones in my life. Um and so I'm just Is it can somebody riddle me this? Is it, and I'm not just saying this because I'm looking at Kiana. I mean, her cheeks are very pronounced and she looks absolutely amazing. Like here's the thing. Clearly she has if anybody on the cast were to give cheek, it should be her because she has, it's not beauty lab, but it's her own beauty empire, right? So if I had my own beauty empire, yeah, my face, I mean, would be, I mean, they're done. They're done. My whole face would be, y'all wouldn't, I mean, I don't even know if my face will move. Who knows? But here's the thing. Yeah, I just feel like everybody got these big cheeks these days, and I'm just like, man, like, where did they come from? Um, you know, I just is it filler or is it a cheek implant? Is it is it is it a cheek implant or is it just a filler? I don't know. I'm just curious. I just want to know. So, not y'all saying the people look like Saw, like Jigsaw from Saw. Y'all crazy. So, anyway, she meets with Greg and we learned that she's in therapy. I felt like this was a much more softer Kiana than we'd seen in a lot of the episodes. And I kind of appreciated it because sometimes when she's really rah-rah, I feel like she doesn't it can be a little annoying because I don't always, I mean, it's like you can't be rah-rah about everything. You have to give us tone and texture. And I just kind of think that this was a nice break for us to get a bit more texture and a bit of a softer tone from her. Um, I I I what I think about Greg, I really don't have a strong opinion about him. I do think that because she left, I think that he got himself together and he just had to realize that this is something that she really wants to do with this show and he needs to get on board with it or he's going to lose her. That's really what I think happened. And I think now he is just just happy to be there because he's happy that she's back in his life. That's what I really think. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts. My other thought is, I mean, listen, I do like Angel, and I think that Angel fits on paper the housewife. Like, oh yeah, on paper, it's like, oh yeah, she's married to a former NFL player. They've got this business, they've got the coin. Um, but maybe her sister would have been a better pick for the show because sister seems like she can get with somebody and do it with ease or not. I don't know. As I'm watching the scene, I'm like, maybe sister would have been the better pick. Now I don't know who sister is married to, if she's married or I mean that who cares these days? I mean they'll pluck you off the streets. I mean at this point if you got some personality. Um somebody- oh god, your comments. I just felt like sister had the energy that would I think she would be able to go the distance on this show, and I think she would be a fun character to watch. Why does Dish say that Angel's sister looked like the girl Angel was catfish? Y'all are so crazy. Y'all so crazy. And the funny thing about it is Angel doesn't need to catfish anybody because she looks incredible. Like, did you see her at BravoCon? She looks amazing. Anyway, um, they talk about the Nevis trip and how Angel felt about it. And here's the thing, I do think that, if Angel has these opinions about the girls, here's the thing, in real life, this is how real people respond. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Real people don't always respond snappy in the moment, but when you're on these types of shows, You got 42 minutes to impress us. Okay. So you need to know that going in. And most new people don't always get it. And I mean, and that's real, y'all. You got 42. If you think about it like this, I got 42 minutes. Okay. That's it. I got 42 minutes of airtime every episode. What am I going to give the peoples? Okay. I got to react when something happens. I've got to give them my natural reaction. So I've got to be natural, but I got to be able to give it. Now, if you ain't natural, and you can't give it, then you got to go. Period. She might do well on an HGTV show, about their business and about how they set up their homes. The homes that they have set up have been beautiful so far that we have seen. But, I think Sister might have been a bit more ready for Housewives in a much more natural way, you know? He's just he stays splashing and says, I'm snappy with the comments and can fight. So they will have to pick their poison. Listen, when you I mean, at the end of the day, Tammy says, wash those hands. Okay. So I do wish that Angel would say these things more in the moment, and I do think that she would have a much more cathartic experience with this show because when she holds it in, when you hold in, and this is in general in real life, was something that I've learned. When you hold in how you feel, you poison yourself. Mm, mm, mm. Ooh, I just delivered a word. Not to my, I mean, just not just to y'all. Sometimes I say something and I think to myself on it later, like, oh, you said that. Yes. Somebody write that down. But yeah, when you hold stuff in, you really do poison yourself because the person that did something to you or that you felt some type of way about, they're not probably they may not know that they offended you. Two, if they did offend you, then okay. Now th- their mission was accomplished. And then B, so then next you have now taken on this feeling and you're carrying it with you. And we all know that when you carry some feelings with you, they just literally, it's like a poison that develops inside of your body. So no, you got to let that stuff out. It's like if you don't poop for a long time, like you gonna get sick. Let it out. Let it out. I do agree with you with that as well. That most first seasoners take a minute to adjust. If she comes back next season, we'll see if she's changed. Yeah, and this is what I say. I always say about her. Let's not throw the baby away with the bathwater because it does take some time to adjust to this landscape. It's very different. It's very new. So I do get that. So we'll see what she does moving forward. I like her. I think that she seems like a very nice girl. I would really want to go and have a cup of like, I feel like she might be a matcha girl or something like that. So maybe we can have some dirt water together, and just really talk. I would love to just sit and talk with her because, I relate to emotional people too. So we can get some dirt water together. All right. So let's talk about Monique. All right. So as we know in this episode, Monique comes back to the show. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, as someone who knows her personally, this my first thoughts were when I first heard of, I was like, and I didn't say it to her because I was like, I don't wanna be that friend. But in my mind, I was like, girl, no. I was like, well, why would you do that? Because I know what she experienced at the end of that period, and I had a really good understanding of why she chose to leave. So I got it. I understood it. Um and just when you see people in real life, it's kind of like if you see a friend of yours go through something really, really traumatic, you don't ever want them to experience that trauma ever again. Like you don't. You don't. So because I could see that happen, I was just kind of like, I don't think that that's a good idea in my mind. That was my first thought, just being very honest. But I would have to say that also knowing where she is now, which is in a very, very, very different place than she was when she left the show, and then 5 years of distance, 5 years of extreme change, 5 years of personal growth, but also not just for her, but I think also for the show. I think for the women on the show. I think for specifically Gizelle. I think understanding also too what Giselle said at BravoCon about being able to look across the table or the room while they're filming and seeing someone else who has been a part of the history of this franchise, particularly when you're missing a crucial element like Karen, okay? Then it makes so much more sense as to why Giselle would be so open to having someone like Monique come back in and play around with this group in the way that she has, kind of like what Cynthia is doing with Atlanta. I think that it makes a lot more sense understanding also too that it's kind of on Monique's terms. She can come in when she needs to, when she feels like it, as she has availability. And so I think that there's just a different level of respect for who she is, where she is now, and appreciation from maybe production and the cast as well. So now looking at it and watching the episode, seeing BravoCon, my opinion about it, just as someone who has seen the inside of what has happened with her, I understand it a lot better. And I'm a lot more here for it because I think that the Potomac that you see today is a much different environment than the Potomac that you saw 5 years ago. Period. The show that you see today is a lot friendlier than the show I think it was at that time. I think that there's an understanding that we're making television. We're gonna be throwing shade. We're not gonna go that deep with each other. If some explosive stuff happens, we're gonna have to talk about it. But at the end of the day, I think that they know what they're doing now in a way that makes the show feel a bit more lighthearted, and I think that that's the environment I think that we're all right now enjoying, because I think also too, we're in such a different time that when we watch TV now, we wanna escape the world as we see it sometimes. We wanna escape these experiences, and so we need our TV to reflect this feeling of escape, period. Um, so as we're brought back into her world, I love the way that they did it. They brought us into her world, into her home, into her peaceful environment. And they did it with Ashley, someone who she is familiar with, who she really is genuinely friends with. Um, and you get to see all of these things that are happening for her, some of which have remained the same, which is her love for animals, obviously, and nature, but also to, what's different about her now. Obviously she has locks, obviously she's divorced, obviously she's single. Those are the things that we're seeing now. And she readily admits that the growth was as a result of the altercation, which when you have something like that happen on national TV, you can either let it make you more of that or completely the opposite of that. And for some people, like, an altercation propels them into baddie territory, right? And for some people, it causes them to reflect. And I think away from this particular show, she was able to do that. Um, Now let me get off my soapbox about my experience and my personal thoughts. Um, I agree with you. I think that Monique, Wendy, and Giselle balanced the flow of the show, and I think that that's what they were hoping for. I did see some questions about online about her and the blank confessional, the white background. I'll give you. I've not spoken to her about this specifically, but I'll give you my assertion of what that could be. Um, when you are doing a green screen interview, depending on the type of color that you wear, the green screen could potentially bleed into a gold or a greenish color ensemble. So the what she was wearing, which was done by my best friend Riley Knox, that could potentially show up as simply just a green. You might be able to see through it, is what I'm saying. So if you put it in front of a white backdrop, then you can't necessarily put up the the green screen that you see typically with housewives. So I'm gonna wager a guess and say that that could be a technical thing, but I cannot I've not confirmed that. So I know a lot of people were wondering, well, why is the screen white? And that could be a reason. But that's just my thoughts. I mean, I wonder if they could have fixed it in post, but I just don't know. Next, we see Monique entering the group, right? And she does so at Ashley's event, where Ashley gives everyone rather sexual names. It's funny to me how I don't know. I mean, it is all in fun, but I do kind of wonder sometimes if like the general sense is to equate sexuality with sex. And I don't know. It's not offensive to me, but I just kind of wonder about it sometimes. Like it was automatic for Ash Lee as Ash Top, right? As her drag name to then give everyone else sexual drag names, which I think sometimes she probably did this innocuously. Like I'm sure it wasn't anything purposeful. I'm sure actually I'm certain it wasn't anything like meant to be offensive, but I just kind of found it interesting that as a result of everybody getting these sort of drag names, that there was this sexual aspect to those drag names. When in fact, I mean, I would wager to think that there are a lot of drag queens whose names have nothing to do with sex at all. So I just thought that that was interesting. But I also think that that's just also typically Ashley's dynamic of being overtly sexual. So we'll just kind of toss it up to that. I do feel like as I'm feeling sick, that my conversation today has been slightly more leaning into the intellectual categories or the intellectual nature of the show. But I apologize. This is how I think and this is how I process. And since I'm not on camera, I can process a little bit more effectively because I'm not really worried about visual aesthetics. So, with that being said, Monique ends up coming in back into the fold into the group, and the first person that we see that kind of has a reaction to that is Gizelle, and she taps her friend Cal, who's also her hairstylist, I think, right, on the shoulder, and we see Monique hug Cal, and Monique hugs the rest of the ladies, and then hugs, and then Giselle is like Monique, and then the two of them hug. Now we know from Ashley's conversation with Monique that she's cool with Giselle at this point. Like she has let literally all of that stuff go because what's the point? This is 5 years later. Do y'all know how much has changed for all of us in 5 years? Like, and so I get it. I get it. I mean, that binder will still go down in history, but at the end of the day, it's fast forward 5 years. And when you think about these, just the state of the country in the past 5 years, like it's like it almost feels like we've been. I mean, it feels like it feels like a whole different decade, actually. So I'm kind of here for them kind of moving forward because I really just don't want to harbor. I don't want to go back there. We just went through so much when we was in that whole period of time. I just don't even feel like going back there. Period. But I do need to see them have a one-on-one conversation. I do need to see them figure it out. Speaking of Gizelle, she is in this very, very sad situation with her dad. I really can't imagine, number one, losing your dad in the way that she did. I completely understand it. But also to then know that there was nothing that there was something that was supposed to be left for her and her kids, and then to find out that then there is nothing. And it's kind of like some people would think, oh, well, it's not about the material things, it's about losing your family member. But there is something about having the things that that person left for you, and then having those things just taken away by somebody that you have no communication with, allegedly, right? Allegedly, that's the alleged thought. um it it would just feel very sinister to me. It's one thing to, you've lost a person, you've lost a portion of your life, you've lost a portion of who you are, and now you have got to go and try to fight for those things that that person left you, which is still a valuable sentiment. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. So I'm interested to see what has happened with that whole situation. Hopefully it has been resolved, and it has been resolved hopefully in a way that benefits her and the girls, because I just think that when you lose someone like that, especially like a parent, you really deserve to have all the things that they have left for you, you know? Exactly, exactly. And I just think that it's just a hard, just kind of even knowing what it's like to lose a parent, and then to realize that the things, the history, the legacy, and the that value could be just taken away by somebody else. I just that's horrible. And I don't think the show could potentially, I mean, I don't know that the show really gives you the full breadth of how that feels, but I also think it's that maybe Giselle hasn't given us the full breadth of emotion with how that feels, but because she's not an emotionally charged person in terms of what she shows us on the show. She gives us bits and pieces here and there, but um my general sense is that she's much more controlled person, and we probably would not see that aspect of her, i.e. her breaking down or anything like that. So um that's not a knock against her or anything like that. That's just an observation. So anyway, those are my thoughts about the episode. I know I actually went a little longer than I thought, but my medicine did, I think, kick in somewhere along the way, and I stopped sneezing and I stopped sniffling. So thank God for that. If you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed the conversation, y'all please hit the like button. Just slap it. I mean, it's just, I mean, bloop, 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 bloop. That's all it takes. I really appreciate it. I appreciate y'all for sticking in there with me as I struggle through this. But I really did enjoy the conversation. And if you have comments after watching this, please leave them in the comment section down below. I do sometimes, like I try to go through the comments and like at least just read to see what people are thinking. Is really important to me because I feel like the reason why we have this channel is so that we can have a place to just discuss the shows. Don't have to agree, but if you disagree, tell me why. I love to know your opinions, your thoughts, and I completely respect them. With that being said, I will be on the road, so if some news pops off, I won't be able to jump in it today, but we'll likely be back at it tomorrow. And with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video.